In today's video, I'm going to be looking at location factors and how they affect economic activity. This is for the IGCSE geography spec, and I've highlighted that we're going to be talking about location factors, but also how those factors can change over time. So location factors is the idea that all economic activity needs certain things to be able to exist. We can call them needs, or we might call them more technically inputs. They need inputs to be able to exist as that type of economic activity. Companies and businesses will locate where those inputs are very, very easy to be able to access. And this is what we call location factors. And whether it's farming or industry or retail, they will all have slightly different needs, and therefore they will locate in slightly different areas to meet those needs. I'm going to go through the different major kind of industries to show you how the needs are slightly different, but also how they're quite similar. So if I'm looking at farming, the most important thing for farming to exist is they need the physical conditions to be right. Whether that's producing food on arable farms or livestock farms, you need to have various factors where it could be fertile soil, it might be a good climate, soil conditions, or if it's arable land, it would be flat land. Those are the most important things to actually exist. They're the most important location factors. Secondary factors that are also important, but probably not the most important, would be once those raw produce is made, can it be sent off to manufacturing centres to be processed? And are there markets nearby where they can sell those products that they've produced? Heavy industry has slightly different ones. It's a very energy intensive industry, and therefore it would require very cheap energy, but also access to the raw materials to make those products. If I'm building a ship, or making steel, or producing cars, they will all require a lot of energy. So energy supplies, whether it's coal or hydroelectric power, if they are readily nearby, that would be very, very important for my business. But also things like coal and iron and the things that make up lots of these products, they are very hard to transport and expensive, so having them readily available is really important to a company. Similarly, they have secondary needs. Once they've actually made those products, they need good transport links to be able to ship them away to markets. Retail, the main focus for retail is customers. You need products to be able to sell to customers, but also secondary kind of important issues would be they need people to work it. It's a very labour intensive sector. They need workers, and they need, again, transport links to ship products. You can see in all of these, having good accessibility is really, really important to all of these industries to be able to get the products in or out from the area. Research and development, this is what we call the quaternary sector, and therefore the most important factor is the high skilled workforce. If I'm working in software design, medical research, I'm going to be dealing with really complex problems that need people with degrees. It's going to be data problems often. So they are going to require a high level of education to be able to do that. Therefore, if I'm a research and development, I will often go near very high-end universities where they can get access to that skilled labour, or also that universities often have research facilities that they can use and partner up with. Obviously, these factors don't just stay the same, and as you can see through most of those main industries, accessibility is really important. In a city, the CBD is often a place where accessibility is the best, and therefore a thing like services, retail will often be in the centre because that has the best accessibility. Why does it have the best accessibility? This is because lots of the major roads and railways, ways to access the city, converge in this area, and therefore it's easier for people to go and access. However, as society has progressed, we're seeing that slightly change, and therefore it's changing where companies actually base. So the rural-urban fringe has become more popular with lots of different economic activity, which I'll go over in a second, and where we see people moving out from traditional areas like the CBD to the rural-urban fringe. We call this process decentralisation. And I'm going to go over some of the factors why people are moving out. This is an example of the Oxford rural-urban fringe, where we can see there is activity in the forms of science parks and business parks, retail parks, but also housing is starting to come in this area. So an example of something that has maybe moved out from the centre to the rural urban fringe would be a science park. This is a growing sector, so they need lots of space. Those greenfield sites are a lot cheaper to be able to build on, as you don't have to remove all of the kind of infrastructure is already there. It's also a cleaner, nicer environment. So if you're trying to attract the highest end graduates, it's a nice place to be able to go. Because it's a greenfield site, you can also design your campus from scratch, therefore you can put very modern buildings in. Again, these are all features that are very attractive to getting high-end graduates and investment into this area. Another example, it would be retail parks. Again, on those greenfield sites, lots of room to be able to put lots of different shops under one roof so people can all go and access them. I can also build very large car parks for customers because most people are going to be commuting. It's close to the suburbs, so that means I've got workers but also potential customers, and people from outside of the town can access it because on that rural urban fringe we have motorways and ring roads, and therefore I can get customers who can access it from other places. I'm not going to go through all of them, but business parks is another one to consider. Again, cheap greenfield land, lots of room. Motorways can access products into the area, shipping it in and out. And you can also build accommodation for people who want to stay there and do business and then maybe go somewhere else. So there's lots of different reasons why the rural urban fringe has become really popular, and therefore location factors are starting to change as time has progressed and countries develop.